What's going on, everybody? Watch Thisvthattv and you watch my review of Mawaru Penguindrum. Mawaru Penguindrum was strange, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean strange as in different. Everything from its art to the way it tells its story is something that you wouldn't typically see in an anime. It also uses a lot of symbolism, so much so that there are entire articles dedicated to analyzing different uses and interpretations of the themes and symbols used in Mawaru Penguindrum. This series definitely stands out from a lot of anime that I've watched, but does its uniqueness end up helping or hurting it in the long run? Mawaru Penguindrum's story revolves around fate. When a sick girl named Hamari passes away, she is revived by an otherworldly being who tasks her brothers Kanba and Shoma to find a mysterious object called the Penguindrum in exchange for her temporary revival. The story follows the three siblings as well as other people that they meet and encounter along the way in their search for the Penguindrum. As I pointed out earlier, the story is filled with symbolism, and that is the first real issue that I have with it. The story isn't told in a traditional way. It just throws you right into the middle of it with no background information and then slowly reveals itself to you through flashbacks. This method works pretty well and ends up explaining most of the things that happen in the story, but with the story being told this way, I wasn't really paying attention to any of the symbols that the series was trying to use. I was more focused on paying attention to the story. What was going to happen next? How is plot point A connected to plot point B? How he, she, or it fit into the story? These are the things that I was thinking about while I was watching the series, and I wasn't really even thinking about or looking for a lot of the symbolism that other people have said that they found when they were watching the series. There are also plenty of symbols used in the story that you wouldn't understand unless you have some knowledge of Japanese history and culture. If you don't, then a lot of the symbols that are used won't mean anything to you. But there are a lot of more obvious uses of symbolism that you will pick up on while watching, and there are some that you'll understand once somebody points them out to you. Symbolism aside, I was still able to understand and enjoy, for the most part, the main narrative. As mentioned earlier, the story is told through a series of flashbacks that gradually give you more information about the story and the characters in it. I found this method of storytelling interesting, and it really forced me to pay attention to everything that was going on so that I wouldn't miss anything. In the beginning, while there's an underlying seriousness, the tone is a lot more lighthearted and comedic than the second part of the series. The first part of the series was used to introduce and establish characters in the series, but there's a lot about the story and the characters that you won't find out until the very end of the series. Another issue I have with the story is that there are some moments where the tone of the series is a little off. There are moments when the actions of the penguins in the series, who are often just used for comedic relief, clash with the overall tone of the show is trying to portray. I really enjoyed the penguins' antics throughout the series, but there were definitely times where their actions weren't really appropriate for the scenes they were in, even though I still did find myself laughing at some of their actions anyway. My only other issue with the story is that there are several things that aren't explained. You just kind of have to accept them and try to come up with reasons for why or how certain things happen in the story. I really enjoyed the animation in this series. It used a lot of bright and vibrant colors that really make the characters and backgrounds stand out. Speaking of which, the characters and backgrounds are really well done. The characters are well defined and at times can even be wearing crazy and outlandish clothing and are still animated really well. The backgrounds are really well done, and they really would add a lot of the vibrant colors into the series. The background scenery is incredibly varied, and it helps to keep the show interesting when the characters are traveling to different locations. Mawaru Penguindrum also purposely uses bland block character designs for a lot of the non-essential characters in this series. Besides being one of the series' more obvious uses of symbolism, it focuses your attention to the main characters in the series and works really well with the otherwise vibrant color animation by providing a little bit of contrast. The sound of Mawaru Penguindrum is fantastic. It boasts a vast and varied soundtrack that fits really well with any tone or situation it's used in, whether the characters are happy, sad, scared, or anxious, or angry. The music helps to emphasize what the characters are feeling. Not only does it fit the moments that it's using really well, but the songs themselves are really enjoyable to listen to. The soundtrack also features 2 amazing openings and a lot of good endings. The 2 openings used in the series are incredibly catchy and really fit the overall tone of the series. Everything from the tone of the songs to the lyrics match the series perfectly and are extremely enjoyable to listen to. The endings are all good, but they just weren't anywhere near as good as the 2 openings. There also are just way too many of them. The series features 10 endings, and even though none of them are bad, not at all, I never really got into any of the endings except for the first one, which was the one that they used the most. Overall, the sound is amazing, and I would definitely be listening to some of the songs for a while. Mawaru Penguindrum stars 4 main characters, the Takamura siblings, Himari, Kanba, Shoma, and a strange girl named Ringo Oganome. Just like the story of the series, you are given information about the characters at a very slow pace throughout the series. But when all is said and done, you are left with some really well developed and likable characters. Even if the characters are doing something that you don't really agree with, you can really empathize with them because you know or will know why they're doing what they're doing. There are several reoccurring and supporting characters in the series, and for the most part, they're also given a good amount of backstory and development throughout the series. I really enjoyed watching Penguindrum. Its untypical method of storytelling and likable characters combined with great sound and animation made this an interesting show to watch. The story was good and kept me interested for most of the series, but I have to confess that my interest did waver a little bit during the middle of the series, but it did pick right back up near the end. And now that I'm more aware of the uses of symbolism, I am looking forward to rewatching the series in the future to try to catch what I missed the first time around. Here's the verdict and breakdown out of 5. Story 4.1, animation 4.2, sound 4.6, characters 4, enjoyment 4, for a final verdict of 4.2 out of 5. While I think this is a very good series, it is definitely not for everyone. But if you can tolerate a show that's more of a slow burner, then I definitely recommend that you watch Mawaru Penguindrum. Let me know what you guys thought of this series and this review in the comment section down below. Please like the video if you liked the video and subscribe if you haven't already. You can click on the screen right now and it will take you to my previous review of another. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.